Welcome ninjas to the Coder Dojo. How is everyone doing today? Are we all ready to code some asteroids? So this is a very old school game, but the version of it that I'm going to get you to code today is actually quite a bit different. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like. Oh, died immediately. Oh, there we go. So there's another game that we've made in the Coder Dojo before, the physical Coder Dojo that is, not necessarily one of these live streams. That was like a zombie shooting game that was kind of similar to this. So if you've made that game before, then you might have a fairly good idea of how to code something like this. I actually really have you guys in chat played anything like this before? So what are the sort of the things that are going on so far? What sprites do you think we're going to have in this game? And what are the sprites doing? So we've got the asteroids. Those are spawning from all around the edges of the screen. And they're coming towards the player. We've got the rocket ship, which we control. That's us, the player. And then there are like little bullets coming out of the rocket ship. So the bullets are all so the bullets are cloning, and so are the asteroids cloning. We've got one sprite that's creating multiple clones. And we can move the ship around. Well, first of all, the ship will always point at our mouse. And then I'm using the keyboard controls just to move the ship around so we can get out of the way of the asteroids. You could, if you wanted, have a version of the game where you can't move the ship. That kind of makes an interesting, like, different kind of take on the game. There's a bunch of different ways you could take this if you wanted to make a more your own kind of version of it. But yeah, a lot of potential. All right, let's see. Let's catch up on chat, shall we? Blake09 Infamous. I can't do Coder Dojo today. Computer broke. Oh no, Blake. I'm sad to hear that. But maybe you can stick around and just have a bit of fun in chat. Watch the game that we make. That kind of thing. Ms. Yeti has called for let's have an F in chat for 09 Infamous's computer. Yeah. Press F to pay respects. And then Ms. Yeti said, I've been drawing fractals in MS Paint. Wow, that's interesting. Drawing fractals in MS Paint. How are you doing that, Ms. Yeti? That's really interesting. Welcome AD, welcome AJ, welcome Falcon Fab Lab Coder Dojo. Cool Trish, I believe, I remember. Cool Trish. Ah, welcome Cool Trish. All right, well, just as a bit of a reminder, don't spam in chat. A few other things in chat. No being mean in chat. So later on we might be looking at each other's code, and the purpose of looking at each other's code is to help each other. So if you see someone, and there's a bunch of people who are taking part in these live streams who maybe are very young, so maybe their spelling isn't there yet. That's fine, doesn't bother me. But yeah, so just make sure that we're always being nice, we're always being encouraging to everyone who's in the chat. That's the only rule of Coder Dojo is be cool. And when you be cool, you'll be cool not just to yourself, but to everyone else around you. So make sure that you are cool in chat. Do we have anyone new in the... do we have anyone new who hasn't used Scratch before? I'm seeing mostly familiar faces. But yeah, if you haven't used Scratch before, let me know in chat. I'll give you a brief introduction to how to get to Scratch, and I'll explain how to do things like adding sprites the first time, and then I won't go over in too much detail. So if you find this one a bit tricky, don't worry. Maybe re-watch it so that you can pause me and see what I do, or maybe check out a few more. If you need some more help, if your coding's not working, then just let me know in chat and I'll be able to help you. All right. And then as always, if you can have two screens, if you can have this live stream on one screen, that way you can still watch it when you're doing your coding on your other screen. So let's say this is on your TV, then that way you can be on your laptop doing your coding. That will give you the best results, if that's possible. It's not always possible, I understand that. All right. Oh, yes. And of course, the latency. There is a delay between my video being sent out and you receiving it. So you're receiving my video on a delay. So if you type something into chat, I will respond. So don't be alarmed if I don't seem like I'm responding straight away. There's usually a bit of a delay on you receiving what I've said. All right. Let's catch up on chat again. Yes, Blake, you're very sad about your computer. Sorry to hear about that. AD is playing the coffin dance in honor of your computer. All right, nice. So let's have a bit of a look at. Well, let's start, shall we? So if you haven't let's everyone get your Scratch ready. If you haven't done that before, what you do is you type in Scratch into Google. The first option that comes up should be Scratch, Imagine, Program, Share. Click on that, and that should take you to this screen. And in the top left corner, look for Create. And click on Create. And it should take you through to this here. So as a very quick rundown, on the left side, we have all these different color-coded codes. You can click and drag them out, and you can connect them up like in different ways. And you can do this in different sprites, which are over to the right. And I'll explain which codes go into which sprites to make them do what we want them to do. Okay, so let us make, first, let us delete a sprite. So you should already have one sprite, Sprite 1, in the bottom right corner, the little picture of a cat with Sprite 1 right underneath it. Click on it, it should all turn blue, and then click on the little X that comes up, and it should delete that sprite. Make sure you never delete a sprite that you don't want to delete. Later on, when we make sprites and we put codes in them, you don't want to delete those sprites. Okay, so bottom right corner. There should be a little cat face. And if you hover over it, it'll say choose a sprite. So click on that for me. So click on that choose a sprite. And it'll take you through to this screen. Now you can look through for various different sprites. And you can click on these categories here if you want to look for specifically music sprites or sports sprites, or it used to be a space category, but I don't see it. Either way, I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to be using. You can use something different if you want, but I want to get the rocket ship. So if you type in rocket, you'll see the rocket ship appears. And then click on where it says rocket ship. All right, now we have added our rocket ship into Scratch. Let's do this again. So we're going to add in, this time we're going to add in some rocks. That's going to be our asteroid. So click on Choose a Sprite in the bottom right corner. Type in rock, R-O-C-K, and you should see, oh, in fact, both the rocks and the rocket ship come up. That's kind of useful. So yeah, click on rocks. So now you should have the rocket ship and the rocks. Now this rocket ship's a bit big, so let's make it a bit smaller. To do that, look in the middle right of the screen, and you should see a few different properties of the sprite that we've got selected. Make sure you've got rocket ship selected. Rocket ship's all blue. You'll see size with 100 next to it. Let's go down to 30. Is 30 too small? What do you guys reckon? Let's try 40. Yeah, I think I like 40. So, we should have the rocket ship sprite. We should have the rocks sprite. We just need to make one more sprite. And I'm just going to make a little blue circle. So not blue circle, yellow circle. So hover over, choose a sprite, move up a little bit, and click on where it says paint. Should be a little picture of a paintbrush. While everyone gets, then you should have this screen in front of you. I'm just going to check on chat, see how that's going. Very good. Everyone seems to be following along pretty well. So I'm just going to get this little. You can click on the brush, or maybe you could do a circle if you wanted. I'm just going to use this. I'm going to click on the brush. I'm going to make this a bit bigger, like 20. So up in the sort of above the drawing area, there should be a number which dictates how big the thing that you're drawing is. And then you can change the color in the top left corner. It should be set to purple, but I'm going to set that to yellow. Kind of looking a bit green. Okay, I'm happy with that. And I think 20 is a good size for this little. I'm just going to put right in the middle a little splot. Yeah, I'm happy with that. You could actually make this a few different ways if you wanted. I'm just going to. This is going to be the bullet that we're firing out of the rocket ship. So you can be creative if you want. And then the only other thing that we need to do is click that. There's a picture of like the mouse, as in like the little triangle shape that the mouse is on the screen. In the top left corner of all your little painting tools, click it, and it should, when you hover over it, it should say select. Then just select your yellow little spot, and you can, in the bottom right corner, there's a little magnifying glass where you can zoom in and look at it in more detail. Drag it around until you can see there's a little cross there. Drag it around until the little cross goes over like the sort of cross with the circle around it. So if you're looking at my screen, you should see when you're dragging around your little yellow circle, you should be able to drag it so that it locks right into the center of the screen. And that's good. We want to make sure it's right in the center. Okay. So let's name our sprites. So we've got rocket ship, rocks, and sprite 1. So the same place where we changed the size, if you look in sort of the middle left and right of the screen, you should also be able to rename it. So if we're already on the bullet sprite, we'll see it's called Sprite 1, but if you look for Sprite 1 just in the middle right of the screen, you'll see that we can rename it to Bullet. These rocks, if you click on them, let's rename those to Asteroid. And the rocket ship, could probably still be called the rocket ship. That's probably fine. Okay. And let's start doing some coding. So, first things first, let's get this rocket ship working. We'll add a background in a little bit once we need a bit of a break from our coding. If you want to add in a background a bit earlier, that's fine. If you already know how to do that. If you don't, that's fine. Just hold tight and I will explain it later. So, first thing that we need to do is over on the left side of the screen, you've got all these little colored circles with all the different categories of different types of codes we can use. We want to look for events, the yellow sort of code, and we want to drag out when green flag clicked. Drag that from the left side into the middle of the screen. If you're looking at my screen, you should see, and you can, I'm going to make this a bit bigger so you guys can see it. What we want this to do, this rocket ship, is we want it to always point towards wherever our mouse is. So, for all the ninjas who've done this before, what do we need to make that happen? Underneath when green flag clicked, what should we put? Put your answers in chat now. If you don't know, that's fine. Sit tight. After a second or two, I will start to tell you. So what we want to do is we want to go down to Control, the orangey category, just underneath Events. Once you've clicked on that, you should see a code called Forever. Look, grab Forever, drag it, and connect it underneath when green flag clicked. And then what we need to do is go to dark blue category in the top left corner, Motion. Look for Point Towards, mouse pointer. Drag that and drop it inside the Forever. Let's test it and see if it's working. Now, we have a problem. What's our problem? Let me know in chat. It's not pointing towards the mouse pointer. It's kind of pointing, its right side is pointing towards the mouse pointer. And that's because of the way that costumes and sprites work in Scratch. So, if you click on the rocket ship, and then top left corner, click on Costumes, you should have 5 different costumes to choose from. You can actually do some pretty clever stuff by switching between these costumes to make it look like the rocket ship's spinning around, but we're not going to worry about that today. But if you're one of my more advanced ninjas, by all means, maybe have a bit of a play and see if you can put in a code that will make the rocket ship look like it's flying through the air. That would be pretty cool. So, here's the problem though. Let's say this is the one that we want. Sprites, whatever they are pointing towards, it counts the forward of the sprite, if this makes any sense, the forward of the sprite is going in the right direction. So, I know that doesn't make a lot of sense. Let me just show you. Go to the top left corner and click on Select. That little mouse button. And then drag over the entire rocket ship. And you should have the entire rocket ship selected once you let go. You can see it's all blue. Now, can you see there's a little, like 2 arrows, 2 sort of bendy arrows, like this at the very bottom of the rocket ship. Click on that, drag it round, and point your rocket ship like this. Now, once you've done that, Test it, and the rocket ship should now be pointing towards your mouse pointer. So if you say to a sprite move forwards, that direction forwards is basically, or if the sprite is if the sprite is pointing at something, the front of the sprite is the right side of the sprite, just like we've got here. This is like facing right. It's on its side facing right. And if you have a sprite that spins around and it's got a forwards, that's what it looks like when you're editing the sprite. So sorry if that was a little needlessly confusing, the way that I explained that. I can't think of a better way of explaining it. If you can think of a better way to explain it, write it in chat. Maybe you've got a way better explanation than I do. And writing it in chat will help all the other ninjas going, oh, so that's what he meant. Alrighty. So we've got our rocket ship. Our rocket ship is pointing. That's good. We want that. Now, let's get bullets coming out of the rocket ship. So over on the right side, we've got our 3 sprites. Click on the sprite bullet. So we are going to make some clones of this sprite. So first of all, let's go to Events, the yellow category, and let's drag out a when green flag clicked. Okay, so what we are going to need to do is, so this is the original bullet, and we're going to make lots of copies of it. So we need to hide the original so that this original bullet's not just like hanging out here. So the first thing that we need to do after when green flag clicked is go to Looks, the purple category in the top left corner. So that's Looks, that purple category, and grab Hide. Drag that out, drop it onto the bottom of when green flag clicked. And then what we're going to do is, for this version of the code, we're going to make the bullet automatically fire. And we're going to make it fire like 5 times a second. And you can change this yourself if you want. So to do this, we're going to make clones, as I said before. So go to Control, the orange category on the left, Control, and then look for the forever loop. Drag that out and put it underneath the hide. So we should have when green flag clicked, hide, and then forever. And then we need to put something in here. You should already be in the right section. Look for create clone of myself. Create clone of myself. Put that inside the forever. Now, we want to put a pause in between creating all of these clones, otherwise they'll just come out in this continuous stream. So go up, so have a bit of a look for wait 1 second. It should be near the top of all the control codes, and drag that out and put it underneath create clone of myself. Now 1 second's a bit long. I said I want to fire 5 bullets every second. So how long should the wait be? Put your answers in chat, everyone. If you want to fire 5 bullets a second, how long should this wait be? Get your answers in quickly, 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 because I'm going to tell you. If you don't know the answer, that's fine. I'm about to tell you. So click on the 1 in wait 1 seconds and type in 0.1 point 2. So now let's make some code that makes the bullets come out of the rocket ship. So what we need now is when I start as clone. So drag out when I start as clone. I'll give you a bit of time to do that. So drag that off by itself. We're going to put some stuff underneath it. When I start as clone. Okay, so now what we need to do, if we made the original bullet hide, when we start the bullets as clones, what's the first thing we need to do? Answers in chat. I'll give you a second or two to write that in. We need to show. So to get the show line of code, go to the top left corner, look for looks, that purple category, click on that. Have a look down, and you should find one called show. So grab show and put it right underneath when I start as clone. All right, so when I start as clone, show. So now what we need to do is we need to make sure that wherever the rocket ship is, the bullets will go to that rocket ship. So how do we do that? Well, let's go to motion, dark blue category, the top left corner, motion, and let's have a look. You should find one of these lines called go to random position, and then a little white triangle. So grab that out, go to random position, and put that underneath show. Now we can change this because we don't want it to go to a random position. We want it to go specifically to the rocket ship. So click on that white triangle and you'll notice we can choose any of our sprites. So click on rocket ship. Then we need to make sure that the bullet's going to go towards the mouse pointer. So we're going to grab out point towards mouse pointer, just like the same thing that we did with the rocket ship. So yeah, look for point towards mouse pointer, drag that out and put it underneath. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, I'm going to get you to do it now, and I'm going to explain what this is for. In fact, I might even ask you what it's for. Grab, move 10 steps. So this should be the very first code in motion, move 10 steps. And then once you've dragged that out and put it on the bottom, move 10 steps, click on the 10 and type in 20. So it should now read move 20 steps. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you can see the code. So what this is going to do is it's going to make the bullet go to the middle of the rocket ship, point towards wherever our mouse pointer is pointing, and then move 20 steps forward so it looks like it's appearing directly out the front of the ship. So now we need to make these bullets travel all the way to the edge of the screen, and then when they get to the edge of the screen, we need to make them delete themselves. Otherwise, we'll fill the game up with bullets and the game will crash. So how do we do that? Some of you may already know the answer. If you do, put the answer in chat. If you don't, then follow me. I'm going to tell you how. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to go to Events. We need to, in fact, no, Control, sorry. Control. We need to go to Control. We need to look for something that looks very similar, but is not the same as forever. We need a repeat until. So not a repeat 10, a repeat until. Grab out that repeat until and put it on the bottom, right underneath move 20 steps. So repeat until what, do we ask? Well, there's actually a really handy bit of scratch code that saves us a lot of time by basically checking to see if you are touching the edge of the screen. Now that code is in sensing, light blue category on the left. And look around for, in fact, actually it's the first one, I think. Touching mouse pointer. Yeah. So you can see the first option in sensing is touching mouse pointer. Drag that out. You can see it's like this six-sided gem shape, sort of hexagon shape. And you can see that there's a six-sided shape next to the repeat until. So drop it inside repeat, just right after repeat until. Right in there, lovely. You can see now we should have repeat until touching mouse pointer. Now we don't care about the bullets touching the mouse pointer. We want to know if it's touching the edge of the screen. So click on that white triangle, and you should see there should be a edge option. Edge is the edge of the screen. So what do we want the bullets to do until they reach the edge of the screen? We want them to move forwards. We want them to move in a direction, the direction that they were already pointing. So we go back up to motion. We get the first option there, move 10 steps. Put that inside the repeat until. So we should now have a code that says repeat until touching edge, move 10 steps. So everyone make sure you've got that move 10 steps out of motion and put it inside our repeat until. So what's the final thing that we need to do? Now I'm just going to check the chat. Very good. Lovely to see you guys putting in some very good answers to some of my questions. Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Okay. So the last thing that we need to do, remember, we need to delete the bullets. We need to make sure that they delete themselves. So to do that, we go to Control, the orange category. We look for, at the very bottom should be delete this clone. We drag that out, delete this clone. Is that at the very bottom? Yes, at the very bottom of Control. Right near the other clone codes, and put it on the bottom. So now it's going to repeat moving until it touches the edge, and when it reaches the edge, it will delete itself, which is what we want. So let's test it. Now you might not be able to see very well on a white background. Interesting. Let me just try something. I'm just going to... because mine's not working. Let's see. Go to rocket ship, point towards mouse pointer, move 20 steps, repeat until touching edge, move 10 steps, delete this clone. Create clone of myself. All right, let's see why this isn't working. How's everyone else going? I'm just gonna, in fact, what I'll do is, while we're figuring this out, before that, right-click on choose, bottom right corner. There should be a button that says choose a backdrop. So yeah, bottom right corner, click on where it says choose a backdrop, and you can choose any backdrop that you like, depending on what you're doing. I'm going to choose a nice simple one with stars. I wonder if it's to do with the way that... Oh, this is interesting. All right, I'm just going to experiment a little bit, and then I will be able to let you know what's gone wrong. Yeah, I've got I've got show. When I start as clone show. Let's save this. And have a look back inside. Maybe one of you guys can let me know what I'm missing. Yours is all working? That's good. Might just be something up with me. Might be something up with my costumes. Oh, this is weird. Well, if yours is working, I wonder if I just convert to bitmap. That must have just been an issue with the vector, I think. Doesn't matter. If yours, is anyone else not working? I think everyone else's was working, but mine wasn't. And I think it was to do with something about the way that this sprite was processing the graphic. But that's okay. I clicked convert to bitmap, which I generally try to avoid, but I think that's fixed it now, so that should be okay. All right, cool. Mezietti says mine works. AD says mine works. Ah, right. Falcon Fablab Coder Dojo says, how do we get the position more with front of rocket? So, hopefully, I might not be understanding your question correctly, but hopefully this answers it. So first of all, if your rocket is not pointing in the right direction, go into the costumes, and then select the whole rocket, and then twist it so that it's pointing right. So that's one thing. Yes, works. And then if you're so if the bullets look like they're coming, if the bullets look like they're still arriving, they're not coming out of the very top front of the rocket, what you need to do is you just need to look at the code here, the when I start as clone code, look down and you should find that move 20 steps, try increasing that to like 25 steps, and then see how that looks. Or you could try 30 steps, and then it will look a bit more like it's coming out the front of the rocket. Yeah, that's looking a lot better. Okay, so sweet. All right, so hopefully that answers your question. And what we're going to do now is, so if you're pretty advanced at doing Scratch and you want some extra stuff to do, put some code into the rocket ship to move it around using like WASD. If you want to like get super fancy. Also, you could try some stuff like I've got this bullet working on auto fire. You could create some code that made the bullet what's the word? Fire on fire with using like when you press space and that kind of thing. However, all that being said, don't miss this next part, because this next part gets interesting. We are going to make some pretty cool code that's going to spawn asteroids from all 4 sides of the screen. So, hopefully you guys had a bit of a break while I was trying to figure out why mine wasn't working, because we're back to it now. We've got about 20 minutes left, and that's enough time to get the code in our asteroids working. So, first of all, we are going to use we're going to make a variable. So make sure you've clicked on Asteroid. Then in the middle left of the screen, there should be a dark orange category called Variables. Click on Variables, and then at the very top left of the screen, you should see a button that says Make a Variable. Click on Make a Variable, and we're going to call this variable Asteroid Speed. That's asteroid speed. Make sure that for all sprites is clicked. And nothing else. And then we press OK. We should have a new variable called asteroid speed. This will be a good way of changing the difficulty of your game. So let's make some code that controls the spawning of the asteroids. So let's get out a when green flag clicked from the events category. Let's go down to variables, the dark orange category in the middle left of the screen, and grab a set asteroid speed to 0. Set asteroid speed to 0. Drag that out and put it underneath when green flag clicked. This is going to be how fast your asteroids move. Let's set it to 1. And you can see what that's like, and then you can speed it up later if you want to make the game harder for yourself. So let's set asteroid speed to 1. And remember, this is how you remember what this does. The asteroid speed seems obvious, but if you want to change the difficulty of your game, this is the number that you change, currently set to 1. Now there's one more thing we're going to do. So you can see this rocket ship sort of spins around like this. These rocks actually look kind of weird if they do the same thing and spin around. So I want to stop them from spinning around. So to do that, we're going to go to motion, the first category in the top left screen, top left of the screen. So dark blue, click on motion, then look towards the bottom of the codes, and you'll find one called set rotation style left right. Grab that out. Set rotation style left right and just pop it on underneath our code there. Now do you remember what we did with the bullets? The original asteroid must be hidden. So go to looks, the purple category near the top left of the screen. Look for hide. So that's kind of near the bottom. Grab hide, drag it out, and put it underneath our set rotation style. Alrighty, see you later, Cool Trish. Take care. So, hide, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get another forever loop. So go to events, oh no, not events, I always do that. Control, drag out forever, put it underneath hide. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make some blocks. So click on the bottom category, that's in the middle left of the screen, called My Blocks. It's red. Click on My Blocks, the red category, and click on Make a Block. We're going to make 4 of these in total. The first one is just going to be called Top, and this is the code that's going to make asteroids spawn in the top of the screen. So we should have a nice defined top that's appeared. Drag that off by itself for now. We will come to that later. And in the top left, and in fact, we'll come to that later. We're going to do it again. Click on Make a Block. We want to do bottom. Don't need to change anything. Just type in bottom and press OK. Move that across. And do it again. Make a block. We want to make a block for left. And we want to make a block for right. So this code is going to spawn asteroids on the top, on the bottom, on the left, and the right. Drag. I'm going to zoom out. So drag these out so that they are nicely in a nice little arrangement there, because we're going to put some code in all of these. So what we need to do now is we need to put into our forever, we need to put in from the My Blocks category, one of each. We need to put in a bottom, a left, a right, a top. Doesn't matter what order, it doesn't matter. Okay, so we've got our top, bottom, left, right. So now, what we're going to do is we are going to make some code for the first one, and then we're going to copy it across. So, pop quiz. Now, if you don't know the answer to this, that's fine. Just copy the numbers that I give you exactly. But pop quiz. If we want to make a cloned get a cloned asteroid to appear on the top half of the screen, on the very top of the screen, so that top edge of the screen, we're going to use a go-to line to do that, and we're going to use a pick random line to do that. So let's see if we can get this right with coordinates. So I've covered coordinates before, and I can't cover them in a lot of detail right now. So if you don't know how this works, just copy the numbers I give you exactly. But for everyone who's done this before, this is your time to shine. So first, we go to motion. We get a go to X, and then there'll be a number, Y, and another number. So go to motion, the dark blue category in the top left, grab a go to X, number, Y, number. So mine says currently X minus 135 and Y 94. So the next thing we need to do is first thing we need to do is the Y is always going to be the same for this top line. The Y coordinate is 180. The Y coordinate controls how high or low a sprite is. So the number is 180. That means it's 180 pixels above the very middle of the screen. That's how high it goes. So Y is always going to be 180, but the X, which controls the left and the right, could be a wide variety of numbers. We want to make it random. So go to operators, the green category on the left side of the screen, operators, and grab something that says pick random 1 to 10. Drag that into X. So, what should we put in as the lowest possible number for our X coordinate? And what should we put in as the highest number for our X coordinate? All of my experienced ninjas, put some answers in chat. What do you think? If you don't know the answer, then that's fine, just sit tight. I'm just going to switch something here while everyone's getting their answers in. This grid here tells you how far, where the numbers are on the screen. So these numbers, each one of them corresponds to a pixel on the screen. It corresponds to a place on the screen. And so when you have an X and a Y, you know exactly where something is. We're using this pick random to make it so that this asteroid will appear somewhere in the top part of the screen. So it's always going to be, the Y is always going to be 180, but the X, the lowest number, should be minus 240. So put that into your pick random minus 240, and the highest number should be 240. So that's going to move the asteroid. So that's what's going to do the code to make the asteroid appear somewhere on this top side of the screen. So we can very easily copy this by right-clicking on Go to X, that blue bit there. Right-click on it. Right-clicking is this button, this finger here, and then normal clicking on Duplicate, and then we've got this extra one here, and we're going to put this underneath our code, our my block for bottom. But we should change something. All right, ninjas, answers in chat. What do we put in for Y to make the asteroid spawn on the bottom? Alrighty, let's have a look-see at chat. Hello, Husey in edits. Hello, Husey in edits. So Husey in edits asks, I want to make a project like if we press space, then it will slow Y go and speed up. Is it slowly go and speed up slowly? And when we stop pressing it, it will slow down and stop. Is this possible? Yes, it is possible. Yeah, it is. We don't have time to go through that today, though, because we're going. I'm working through a Asteroids. So remember, be cool in chat. Be cool in chat. No being mean about people's spelling. There's a bunch of people in the chat who are young here, and so I don't care about their spelling. So AD, be good. All right. So because we've got about 10 minutes left, a little bit less, we need to hustle with this. So we should have go to X, pick random, minus 240 to 240, and Y is 180. And bottom is the same so far, but we need to change something. How do we make the rocks spawn at the bottom? What do we change in this code here? It's the Y. The Y is set to 180. That's at the top. So what do we do to set it at the bottom? We set it to minus 180. Now, if you don't know how the coordinates work in Scratch, have a look through the backdrops, do a search for grid, and you'll see all the coordinates broken down for you. I know it takes some time getting used to how coordinates work, but as long as you can remember that you generally need both an X and a Y to decide where something is going to be. The X is how far left or right it is, the Y is how far up or down it is. So we're doing some fairly complicated stuff here because we are making a range of different coordinates by using pick randoms. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to copy just the same way as we did before. So right-click on a go to X underneath, let's say, top, duplicate that, and drop that underneath left. So the left is, X is, if you look on the grid here, it's minus 240. So we don't want to pick random in our X because our X is going to be staying the same for our left side spawning. So pull out that pick random and put it into the Y instead. And then click on X where it'll say a number and type in minus 240. So the Y, our pick random, is very similar. The highest possible, because we want this to be random, like up and down, right? If we're doing the left side of the screen, spawning here. So the lowest possible point on this line is minus 180. And the highest possible point is 180. The middle is the 0, if that makes sense. You've got minus numbers going below the middle and not minus numbers, plus numbers, positive numbers going above the 0. All right, so everyone have a bit of a think. How would you copy this across to define right and make it work? I'm going to check up on chat. All right. AD. Yep, very nice. Good, good, good. Alrighty. Good to see you guys all getting along, making some new friends. Good, good. Alright, so let's right-click on this go to X and Y underneath define left, move it along, just like we did copying a code from the top to the bottom. We need to click on this X underneath define right and change it from negative 240, negative 240 to 240. So now we should have this asteroid doing 4 different codes. One which will make it go to the left side of the screen, a random point on the left side of the screen. Another one that does the top, another one that does the right side, another one that does the bottom. Okay, so once we've got all that in, we need to make a new MyBlock. So go to MyBlocks, the middle left side of the screen. And click on that grey Make a Block button and type in spawn. Hopefully I'm not going too fast for you guys. Drag down. We should now have this nice define spawn. So what we're going to do now is so this is what's going to create the clones of the asteroids. So now you should have somewhere in your list spawn is a little red block in the top left of the screen. Drag it out and put it on the bottom of top. Drag it out and put it on the bottom of bottom. Drag it out and put it on the bottom of left, and drag it out and put it on the bottom of right. So the asteroid's going to go to this place, and then it's going to spawn a clone of an asteroid. This just saves us having to copy everything. It's just a lot faster, a lot easier. So let's decide what goes into our spawn code. So here's a cute thing that I like. I want the asteroid, each time it spawns a new one, to make a random size. So let's go to looks. Let's get, so looks is the purple category in the top left corner. Look for set size to 100%. Drag that out and put it underneath spawn. Okay, and so 100% is going to make the rock really big. So you can actually change this number set to whatever you like. I'm going to put a pick random into it. So you can just make them all the same size if you want, but if you want to do it the same way as I'm doing it, have a look at your define spawn. You should have set size to 100% underneath it. Drag out a pick random, drop it inside the 100. And you can decide what is the smallest number that it's going to be and the largest number. I had a bit of a play, and I like the smallest number being 35 and the largest number being 55. So I've got it set to set size to pick random 35 to 55. Then we need to, just the same as we did with the bullets, we need to create a clone. So we go to control, the orange category. So go up to control, the orange category. Sorry if I'm speeding up, I'm running out of time and we haven't gotten the asteroids moving yet. Get create clone of myself. Have a look near the bottom. Create clone of myself. And then look a bit up because we want to wait. We don't want them to spawn like 5 billion a second. So have a look in control. At the very top, we should have a wait 1 second. Drag that wait 1 second out. Now you can make this easier if you make this number larger. So you can decide what this number is. I really like 0.4. 0.4. That's what I liked. But you can change that number, and it will speed up how fast the asteroids are spawning or slow down how fast they're spawning. Now we have one last thing to do, and that is to create some code that's very similar to what the bullet does. Not quite the same though. So first of all, we get when I start as clone. We get that from control, the orange category. Look for control, and near the bottom of their control codes, you'll find when I start as clone. Drag that out by itself right here. So just like the bullets, we've hidden the original asteroid, so we need to make all of the clones show themselves. So go to looks, the purple category, drag out show. It's near the bottom. Show, put that underneath when I start as clone. Now, we want these asteroids to point towards the rocket ship. So look in motion, the dark blue category, that's motion. Have a look. You should see point towards mouse pointer. Drag that one out, point towards mouse pointer. But we want to change that to click on that white triangle and point towards rocket ship. Now what we want to do is we want to get something very similar to what we did with the bullet code. So we need a repeat until. We get that from control. So go to control, the orange category. Control. Look for repeat until. Drag out that repeat until. I'm speeding up. I'm speeding up. We want, so we're going to do this in a simple way. There's some flaws to this. You might even be able to tell me what some of the flaws to this are, but this will probably work okay. We want to do this until we touch a bullet. So go to sensing. The very top of sensing, the light blue category, should have touching mouse pointer. Drag that little six-sided shape out and pop it right inside repeat until. Click on the white triangle and select bullet. We want to repeat this until we are touching a bullet. And we want to move. So go to motion, the dark blue category, drag out move 10 steps, and we just so happen to have a handy variable. So drag out move 10 steps and put it underneath, put it inside our repeat until. So we should have repeat until touching bullet move 10 steps. Now you can just change this number if you want, but we made up a handy variable before. That's going to control this. Drag out, so look in variables. At the very top you should have asteroid speed. It's a nice little round code there. Drag that out and it should fit just nicely inside the 10 of the 10 steps. And then of course, once we touch the bullet, the asteroid should be deleted. So the final thing that we do, and then we're all done, we got there everyone, is we need to delete this clone. We do that from control. So we go to control, we look inside control, we should find at the bottom, delete this clone, drag out, delete this clone, and put it on the very bottom. Okay, let's test it. I'm gonna go back to a stars backdrop. Move that away. There we go. So if you want this game to be harder, all you need to do is look for the code that sets the asteroid's speed and make that number larger. I think I was having a lot of fun with the asteroid speed set to 2. So that's just underneath when green flag clicked. That made the game a bit more challenging. So close. So we don't actually have code for dying or moving the rocket ship. So we could theoretically, they can just go straight through us. But adding that code is pretty simple. What I will do is I will put in the notes for this video, not the notes, the comments for this video. I'll put my version of the Asteroid game, which has a bit more advanced code. You can have a look at it. So this one here has some code in there to show you how to make a bullet cooldown, which make it so that you have to press a button to fire bullets. But yeah, if I touch a bullet there, if I touch a asteroid there, I lose. And I also have some controls so you can move the rocket ship around. I quite like this this method of moving. The original Asteroids had a very different method of moving, but yeah, I think this is good fun. I enjoy this this sort of control scheme. So I will put the link for how to do this. I'll put the link for this Scratch project in the comments to this video. So if you want to be like, oh, Jonathan, how do I don't know how to make the rocket ship move around from the keyboard controls, or I want to see how you did it so that the rocket ship dies, don't worry, I'll include that. So, how did everyone go? Did everyone get it working okay? Any problems? Any glitches? While everyone's answering that, just a few things. So next week we will be doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 4 p.m. So yeah, we do these live streams 4 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. The next stream on Monday is going to be Splatoon Part 2. So if you tuned in for Splatoon Part 1, then tune in then. Otherwise, watch Splatoon Part 1 over the weekend so that you're ready to go with Splatoon Part 2 on Monday. And if you don't get a chance to do it, that's fine. I will give you my code so that you can continue on with the rest of us. I'm looking forward to Splatoon Part 2. I had a lot of fun with Splatoon Part 1 as well. Hey, I'm glad Husey in edits. So yeah, hopefully this was interesting. There's all the previous live streams that I've done are on the YouTube channel, so feel free to go back and watch some of those. I'm glad you had fun. Glad it was understandable. I've got to be careful because it's very easy for me to speed up as we start running out of time. But we managed to get most of the important stuff done in this project here. Yeah, so you can see this code here is the code that lets the character move. It sees if they die. There's even some shoot code here as well. There's also a piece of code that just makes sure that the rocket ship always goes to the middle of the screen when you start a new game. Fairly simple stuff. Well, that's pretty much what we've got time for this week. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Stay awesome, be cool to each other, and take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time, ninjas.